Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to go over how visual processing occurs in the brain. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go over is the general orientation of the visual field, right? Your visual field is basically the space that you're seeing around you, right? So right now, since you're looking at your computer or your phone screen, what your visual screen would be is like a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right of, and your center being the phone, right? And what's important to understand is that basically in each eye, part of your eye, so the right side of your eye will perceive the left side of your visual field, and the left side of your eye will perceive the right side of the visual field, and of that eye's visual field, right? And this is because opposite parts of the eyes perceive opposite pieces of information, which is a common occurrence in all parts of the body, right? And the brain is no exception, and the eyes are no exception. Okay, so first, your eyes will pick up the information. The information will enter through your cornea, which is the thin protective layer that we saw. Let's see if we can go back. Oops. So this would be your cornea, which is the thick protective membrane. It was not part of the sclera, but it was a little bit thinner than the sclera, but it was still a protective membrane. And then it enters through the pupil, the which controls how much light enters the eye. And the pupil is controlled by the iris, right, which is the colored part of the eye. So let's just draw this out so that it's not too many words. So let's say we have brown eyes, right? Say this is your eye. You know what? I'm gonna make a circle. This is your eye. This is your iris, right? And let's say this is your pupil. Oh, no. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulty. You know what? We're gonna draw this now. So say that's your pupil, right? So the pupil is controlled by the iris, which expands or closes in to allow differing amounts of eye light to enter. So if the pupil is dilated, that means that more light is allowed to enter the eye. But if your pupil is constricted, which means it's smaller, that means less light will enter the eye. So after we determine how much light enters the eye, there is a thin film called the lens, which projects it onto the thin sheet of tissue on the eye called the retina. So the retina contains multiple layers in which you contain photoreceptor cells, which transduct information. So basically, the photoreceptors send information to the brain about the colors that you see, as well as the orientation of the edges and the lines that you see, right? And this information is sent through the brain through the axons of ganglion cells, which form the optic nerve, which is what we see here. And the information crosses over at a point called the optic chiasma, where the information from the left will go to the right side of the brain. So the information from both left sides of the eye will go to the right side of the brain, and the information from both right sides will go to the left side of the brain. And what they'll reach is this place called the LGN, which is the lateral geniculate nucleus, which is a part of your thalamus, right? So basically what your thalamus is it's the switchboard. It relays the information, the sensory information to the right part of the brain, right? So this is visual information. So it's got to relay it back to your primary visual cortex. And a specific part of the thalamus called the lateral geniculate nucleus, also abbreviated as LGN, sends it specifically back to the visual cortex, where your visual cortex is the shape of almost a $50 bill, and has the thickness of a $50 bill, and contains multiple layers, with one layer actually preserving the whole visual map. So like contains the orientation. It's almost like a photo of the vision that you just saw, of the scene before you, and it processed the information. So it'll check multiple orientations, it'll check color, it'll check 3D, and it'll send to the parietal lobe, the temporal lobe, to get an understanding of where the object is in space and to identify what the object is. So this is a neural network of how your brain processes the information. And I'm sorry, I was supposed to post this video before I posted my new video, but I hope you all were able to see both of them. I actually went over a whole playlist about the visual system because it's one of the more complicated systems. I highly suggest reading the Brain Facts book and to watch a few more animations of this. I'll link a really good animations to understand. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful, and I hope that it was a good summary and you were it clarified any possible questions. Again, I've made a playlist regarding all the information that you need to know, as well as histology, as you've seen here. Here. So as you can see here, I've made a video about visual acuity, the anatomy of the eye, so on and so forth, as well as talking about the different photoreceptor cells, so on and so forth. So if you have any questions, please refer back to those, or please leave a comment, and please email me at stemwme@gmail.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.